ओमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणम्। Hare Krishna. Welcome to this episode of the Mahabharata. In the last episode, we have seen how Krishna and Arjuna got back the 10 sons of the Brahmana in Dwaraka, having gone to Mahavishnu's abode, and Mahavishnu had enacted this pastime simply because he wanted to have darshan of Krishna and Arjuna. Now after that, we also saw during that whole pastime that was going on, how Arjuna had flaunted his possession of the Pashupatastra weapon. So how did he get the Pashupatastra weapon is a pastime in itself. We will learn about that today. Today's session, we begin with the Pandavas in Indraprastha. The Pandavas staying in Indraprastha, they along with Draupadi, they were ruling over Indraprastha, and Indraprastha was turning out to be quite prosperous. Citizens were very happy, and in due course of time, the 5 Pandavas begot 5 sons in Draupadi. Yudhishthira begot a son by the name Pratibhit, and Bhima begot a son Sutasoma in Draupadi, whereas Arjuna begot a son by the name Shrutakirti. Nakula and Sahadeva begot sons respectively by the names Shatanika and Shrutakarma. So like this, 5 sons were born to Draupadi. Now, after during their stay in Indraprastha, once it so happened that Arjuna had to undertake a pilgrimage for about a year. So Arjuna, taking this pilgrimage all alone, traveled to different parts of the country. He happened to visit Haridwar, and in Haridwar he happened to meet a girl by name Ulupi, who was from the Nagalokas. And he married Ulupi, and in Ulupi he begot a son by the name Iravan. Then Arjuna continued his pilgrimage, and he came to Manipur. The state of Manipur is even today famous for its Vaishnava citizens. Even the king, the royal king at that time in Manipur, 5,000 years ago, was also a great Vaishnava. So there, Arjuna married Chitrangada, who was the daughter of the Manipur king at that time. And in Chitrangada, Arjuna begot a son by the name Babruvahana. And then further, what happened was, Indra, he invited Arjuna to come to the Swargaloka. He wanted him to visit Swargaloka because after all, Arjuna was begotten by Kunti Devi by the blessings of Indra. So in one sense, Arjuna was the son of Indra. So Indra invited Arjuna to the Swargalokas, and when Indra went to Swargaloka, Indra was taking care of his hospitality, and he introduced him to all his assembly. So Arjuna was getting accustomed to all this, and Indra gifted him his Vajra Astra, which Arjuna could use whenever required. And so Arjuna got a divine weapon called the Vajrastra. And there it so happened that Arjuna also happened to see Urvashi. So this Urvashi had married Pururava, who was one of the very long back. The Pururava was one of the forefathers in the dynasty of Arjuna. So when Arjuna saw Urvashi, he remembered how she was one of the she was the wife of Pururava, one of his ancestors. But of course, Pururava had long back, he had passed away, being a human being on this earthly planet, whereas Urvashi being in the heavenly planet, she had a much longer lifespan. And also in the heavenly planets like Swargaloka, people do not become old, wrinkled face and all those kind of things. The physical body does not age like it does in this material world, in this earthly planet. Whereas, of course, the problems of death, disease and these kind of things exist even in Swargaloka also. It is not that they are eternal. The people, the residents of Swargaloka also have a certain lifespan. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tam Ushitva, the Punya Lokam, the people who have lot of Punya Karma, they get elevated to Swargaloka. And once their Punya, whatever pious credits they have gained by their pious activities in the past, once that gets used up, then they have to again take birth on this earthly planet. So, Lord Krishna explained this very nicely in the Bhagavad Gita. And so, the people, personalities who are there in the Swargaloka, they may have very long lifespans, but then eventually one day their tenure in the Swargaloka, in the heavenly planets, will come to an end, and then they will have to again take birth like normal human beings on this earth. So anyway, so Urvashi, although she had been married to Pururava long ago, several thousands of years ago, but still she was quite young and she had retained her youth and her beauty and all that. When Urvashi saw Arjuna, she got attracted to him, and so she wanted to associate with Arjuna. So one may question that how Urvashi is one of the wife. She is the wife of one of the ancestors of Arjuna. So practically Arjuna is like she is equivalent to her son in that sense, because he is one of the descendants in her own dynasty through Pururava. But in the heavenly kingdoms, the rules are not so much strict with regard to these kind of things as we have on the earthly planet, and there the intermingling of the women and the men is not so much strictly bound up like on the earthly planet. Their rules and regulations are different, so different set of rules apply there. So it was not unnatural for Urvashi to get attracted to Arjuna like that. So she approached Arjuna in his chambers all alone, and she expressed her desire. She said that I have got attracted to you and I want to associate with you, I want to marry you, like that she mentioned to Arjuna. But Arjuna folded his hands and he bent his head and he told her, Urvashi, that kindly excuse me, I will not be able to fulfill your desire because you are the wife of my ancestor Pururava, and therefore I look upon you like my mother, and so therefore I cannot fulfill your desire of this. So you look at the unimpeachable character of Arjuna, a heavenly Apsara, so beautiful. She is coming and proposing to Arjuna. Whereas these Apsaras, when they came in front of great rishis and munis like Vishwamitra Muni, they could not control themselves. They immediately gave up their practice of yoga, dhyana and all that and went behind the Apsaras. But in the case of Arjuna, he was not a yogi, he was not deep in meditation, he was a Kshatriya, he was a king, and he was allowed to have multiple wives. But look at him, he very clearly said, you are like my mother, I cannot look at you in any other way. And so you can see how Arjuna was a person of very noble character. How was he able to control his senses so well? Because he was a great devotee of Krishna. So therefore, if a person is a devotee of Krishna, doesn't matter whether he is a Kshatriya or he is a Vaishya or he is a or he is a brahmachari, or he is a grihastha, no matter what varna or ashrama he is situated in, he is much higher than even a sannyasi of some other yoga system such as a jnana yogi or an ashtanga yogi. Externally, it might look like that a jnana yogi or an ashtanga yogi is far more renounced than a person in a royal order of life like Arjuna. But in the heart, the degree of purity and the degree of ability to control their senses, as far as that was concerned, a person like Arjuna, who was a devotee of Krishna, is far, far higher than even an Ashtanga yogi like Vishwamitra Muni. So Arjuna refused. Then Urvashi became very unhappy, and therefore she cursed Arjuna that because you rejected me, because you refused my proposal, therefore I curse you that you will become a eunuch. You will become a eunuch for 1 year's time. So like this she cursed Arjuna. And what was Arjuna's response? He folded his hands and he said, "Oh mother, I gladly accept this as your blessing." Like that he accepted it without any complaint or any feeling of bitterness or anger in his heart. This again shows the greatness of Arjuna. So then eventually, after spending some time there, Arjuna came back to the earth and he was on his pilgrimage. And it so happened that while he was traveling through a forest, it so happened that Lord Shiva heard about Arjuna and his great character and his exploits, how he was such a great warrior and he was the greatest archer. So Lord Shiva wanted to test Arjuna. So Lord Shiva disguised himself like a hunter and he came to the forest where Arjuna was going through at that point of time. So when Lord Shiva came across Arjuna, it so happened that at that point of time a wild boar attacked Arjuna. Arjuna immediately took up his bow, Gandiva, and he shot an arrow and he killed the boar. Simultaneously, Lord Shiva also, in the disguise of the hunter, he also released an arrow and the boar was killed. Now between Arjuna and this hunter, there was a big argument about who had actually killed the boar. Arjuna was claiming it was my arrow which killed the boar. Lord Shiva was saying, no, it was my arrow which killed him. So like this argument went on, and then Lord Shiva, in the disguise of the hunter, Arjuna could not recognize him. The hunter challenged Arjuna, if you are such a great warrior, if you are such a great archer, let us have a competition, let us fight with each other and see who wins. And so like this, then Arjuna also took up the challenge, and then he took his Gandiva and both of them started throwing arrows at each other. And eventually, after a big battle between Lord Shiva and Arjuna, because Lord Shiva is Mahadeva, he is also, nobody can match him in prowess. None of the Devatas can match him in prowess. That is why he is called Mahadeva. He is greater than all the Devatas. So all the Devatas are afraid of and they respect Lord Shiva very much because of his prowess, because of his austerities, because of his Vaishnava qualities, because he is such a great devotee of Krishna. So Lord Shiva is endowed with many such wonderful qualities. Arjuna, unaware that he was battling with Lord Shiva, he let loose a volley of arrows, and then Lord Shiva was also countering him, and this went on between the two of them. Finally, Arjuna gained the upper hand and he managed to cover this hunter fully with arrows. And then Lord Shiva became very pleased with Arjuna, and then he stopped the fight and he revealed himself that Arjuna, I am Lord Shiva. And so immediately when Arjuna came to know that this is Lord Shiva, he immediately fell at his feet and then begged forgiveness, and unknowingly, all this happened. But Lord Shiva said, no, this was my pastime. I just wanted to test you. I am very happy with the way you have responded to my challenge, and I am pleased with your prowess and your abilities. So I want to gift you the Pashupata Astra. And that is how Arjuna got the Pashupata Astra. So like this, Arjuna got not only the Vajrastra from Indra and the Pashupata Astra from Lord Shiva, he also got from Yamaraj the Dandastra, and from Lord Varuna he got the Pashastra, and from Kuvera he got the Antardhanastra. Antardhanastra means by which you can make, you can disappear. So that is Antardhana, means disappearance. So that's an astra by which you can disappear. Pachastra, Varuna's Pachastra is something when you release that arrow, it will go and bind a person in ropes and the person cannot free himself. So these are all the different kinds of astras, divine astras that Arjuna got. So it was Krishna's arrangement that Arjuna go on this pilgrimage, meet all these personalities and get all these astras, because Krishna knew that in the future there is going to be the Kurukshetra war and Arjuna has to face great generals like Bhishma and Dronacharya, who already were in possession of such divine weapons. So if Arjuna had to fight them and counter them, he also needed divine weapons. And so that is how, by Krishna's arrangement, Arjuna undertook this pilgrimage. And like this, he undertook a pilgrimage. He met many people. He got many divine astras like this, and he also married Ulupi and Chitrangada. And like this, Arjuna continued his pilgrimage, and finally he came to Prabhasa Kshetra. This Prabhasa Kshetra is what is currently known as Somnath. And this Prabhasa Kshetra, or Somnath as it is today known as, has been a place of pilgrimage since times of yore. So when Arjuna reached Prabhasa Kshetra, from all the sages who were there, he got a news. What was this news? He got a news from Dwaraka. So the news that he got was that Krishna and Balaram had a sister by name Subhadra. And she was of marriageable age. She was also extremely beautiful, highly qualified. She is the younger sister of Krishna and Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So naturally, she was endowed with all wonderful qualities. So Balaram had decided, because Duryodhana had become his disciple and he had learnt the art of fighting with the mace from Balaram, Balaram had decided that he wanted to give Subhadra's hand in marriage to Duryodhana. Now, this news that Subhadra is going to get married to Duryodhana reached the ears of Arjuna when he was at Prabhasa Kshetra. So when Arjuna heard about this arrangement that Balaram had made to hand over Draupadi to Duryodhana, the sages also described to him about the beauty and the wonderful qualities of Subhadra. So naturally, Arjuna's heart and mind got attracted to Subhadra and he developed a desire to win the hand of Subhadra. But now, how can he win the hand of Subhadra when Lord Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has decided that he is going to hand over, he has fixed up in his mind that Subhadra will be wedded to Duryodhana. Who can go against his will? How Arjuna could convince him? So Arjuna thought what to do. Now Arjuna was also in a quandary. He did not know what to do. So he thought, let me go to Dwaraka. Let me go to Dwaraka and consult Krishna. Krishna is anyway my friend. Let me go there and visit and let us see what Krishna has to say. So thinking like that, Arjuna decided to go to Dwaraka. But now, if he would go to, he cannot openly go to Dwaraka. And as Arjuna himself, if he would go, then naturally everybody would question, why have you come here? Then he would have to tell that I have come here to win the hand of Subhadra. So how can he say that? He cannot say that. So now what to do? So Arjuna thought, okay, let me disguise myself and then go to Dwaraka. So Arjuna took on the disguise of a sannyasi, because in those days sannyasis could go anywhere, and if any grihastha's house they would go, the grihastha was duty bound to invite him to the house and take care of him without any questions asked. Arjuna could not go as a kshatriya or disguised as some other prince or something like that, because then a lot of questions would be raised. But as a sannyasi, he would have a free entry into any place he wished to enter. So Arjuna dressed himself as a sannyasi, and he dressed himself as a Tridandi sannyasi. There are two kinds of sannyasis. One is an Ekadandi sannyasi, another is a Tridandi sannyasi. Ekadandi sannyasi means he follows the Mayavada Sampradaya under Shankaracharya's philosophy of oneness between the Jiva and the absolute truth, Brahman. So the Mayavadis have the philosophy that we under illusion are currently thinking we are all individual souls, but when that ignorance, when the veil of ignorance is removed, when we come to knowledge, we understand that we are the supreme absolute truth, and then we merge into the supreme absolute truth and our existence will get finished. This is their philosophy. But Arjuna was always a Vaishnava. He is a great devotee, and so he cannot follow the path of Mayavada. So he took up the role of a Tridandi sannyasi. Mayavadi sannyasis always has an Ekadanda, so which is a single danda, which is a single stick which he carries in his hand wherever he goes. Whereas a Vaishnava sannyasi, he takes a Tridanda, which is a stick which is made up of 3 separate pieces combined into one single stick. So this Tridanda actually signifies that the Vaishnava sannyasi is surrendered to Krishna, Kaya, Manasa, Vacha, by his body, by his mind, and by his words. He is dedicated completely to Krishna and Krishna's devotional service. This is what a Vaishnava sannyasi's Tridanda indicates. So Arjuna got hold of a Tridanda and dressed himself like a Vaishnava sannyasi, put tilak also, which was appropriate to a Vaishnava sannyasi. Normally the Mayavadi sannyasis, they apply ash horizontally across the forehead, whereas Vaishnava sannyasis, they wear a tilak which is vertical. And Vaishnavas also, different kinds of tilaks are there. Sri Vaishnavas wear one kind of tilak, and we have Shyamananda Sampradaya, they have a different kind of tilak. Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they have another kind of tilak, like what, the 2 lines which represent the lotus feet of Krishna, and the leaf of Tulasi Maharani, which is depicted on the nose, which indicates the Tulasi leaf at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So Arjuna dressed himself like a Vaishnava sannyasi, wearing a proper Vaishnava tilak, having a Tridanda, and the Vaishnava dress also, sannyasi dress also he was wearing, was appropriate to that of Vaishnava sannyasis. And like this, Arjuna disguised himself and set out and reached Dwaraka. So once Arjuna reached Dwaraka, what did he do? And what was how did his meeting with Lord Krishna go? What was Krishna's advice? And was Krishna ready in the first place to accept Arjuna's request to marry Subhadra to him? Because Krishna's elder brother Balaram had already decided to give Subhadra's hand to Duryodhana, and Krishna could never go against his elder brother's decision. So would Krishna be ready to go ahead with Arjuna's request? To know about this, kindly join us in our next episode. Thank you for joining us today. Hare Krishna. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.